Yeah. Hey y'all, welcome back to Discus Talk with Tammy K. Hi Colin, you got here pretty quick. So today's going to be a little bit different than my normal live streams because I've learned how to do some stuff on the computer. So it should be a lot more fun. And we'll see how it goes. Let's see, people coming in. There's Kim. Welcome back, Kim. All right, my screen is frozen on my end. I typed it in the chat, guys. If you could answer, because I don't know if you can hear me. Because my screen is definitely not moving. Oh, wait, there I am. Francis, welcome back, Francis. I see my Discus people are in here. I have invited people from other places this time to talk about quarantine because quarantine is important in all fish, not just discus. And so I'm hoping, to get a little more information out to a bigger audience right now. So this is going to be an interesting one. Awesome, Kim. Great. Thank you. Mine actually keeps stopping on my YouTube. So I don't know why it keeps doing that, but that's okay. As long as you guys can see and hear me, I'm good. We are going to have a giveaway today, but we're going to do that at the end of the live stream. The quarantine procedures. You guys from Discus, you guys pretty much, have heard this before. So it's not really a whole lot new, but I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about why you do quarantine, why it's so important quarantine. And it's for, even for just new fish, if you're just setting up a tank, you still need to quarantine for the treatment. You want to start out with clean fish and not have to worry about them getting sick at a later time. So the first thing you want to do is look at your setup. And I've got to pull up my other screen so that I can see myself over here. You see my quarantine tank sitting here. The three, this one, and this one are sitting empty. They're completely drained. There's no water in them. They're sterile tanks. They're ready to go if I need them. If I get new fish, if I have sick fish, whatever happens, I've got the tanks ready to go for them. And they'll stay that way. You need to have just a bare bottom tank. You can use just sponge filters. You can use seated filters if you want. I don't, because you're going to be doing a lot of water changes anyway. The quarantine, let's start from the standpoint of getting new fish. Let's say you have an established tank. You're getting new fish in and you put them into your sterile quarantine tank. You're going to be doing daily water changes. You want to add some salt to it, but you've got other fish you have to think about. So the reason for quarantine is to make sure that the existing fish do not get sick from your new fish. So what do? You guys know, what is the first thing that when you first learned the hobby, what is the first reason that you learned that you need to quarantine for? What is the first thing that pops into your head when you think, I'm going to give it to my other fish? And you guys know that, right? Hi, Ben. My name's Tammy. Welcome to the chat. All right. So the first thing that we think about when we are looking at new fish, and this is the first one I think everybody learns. That's this one. So everybody knows that, you know, ick is the number one thing that we have issues with, right? Oh, I messed something up. Anyways, ick is the first thing that we learn about in the hobby, I think. It can kill your fish if it gets as bad as the one in the photo. It can absolutely kill, no doubt. But there's more to it. Ick is just one thing that can happen, but there's so much more that can happen in the aquarium. I'll give you another example. Let's see. This is in Discus, and I think all the people in Discus recognize this at this point, at least the ones that are in the chat probably do. This is a fish that was cross-contaminated. The quarantine wasn't done correctly. The fish was added to the tank and the fish became sick. And this is one of the good symptoms. This fish actually survived the cross-contamination. And if you guys are squeamish, you may not want to watch this next part, because this is also something that you have to keep in mind when we talk about quarantine, because you're going to want to treat your tank. And this is why. This fish, and this is a guppy that was shared with me. And this one. Okay, let me start the video. I know you guys may not have ever seen this. This was actually the first time I've ever seen it from the gill. This is a guppy that was actually infested with Camellanus worms, which is a roundworm. And he subsequently died from the infection, and it was completely preventable with the correct treatment. But not enough information is out there about how to treat your new fish when you're bringing them in to avoid situations like this. I don't blame the owner of the fish for not treating, because the knowledge simply isn't there. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about that. Everybody knows what the treatment for ick is. That's fairly simple. You want to use high heat to speed up the metabolism. You want to add some salt to the water, and you want to use a medication like Riddick Plus or Ick-X. Salt and heat alone will not kill ick. You do have to use a medication, and just about any of the ick medications will work. I use Riddick Plus because we use it in Discus to begin with for other problems. So it's just a good one to use. Yeah, Ken, that's really gross. It's really gross. I talked about the tank setup. We use a sterile tank. We don't use a pre-cycled tank. If you prefer a cycled tank, you can get something like Dr. Tim's beneficial bacteria and add to the tank to get it started. That helps. There's other ones as well. I don't know the names of all of them. I do know the Dr. Tim's because I watched a presentation from him a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, there's other diseases, bacterial infections, there's worms, there's tapeworms too. Camellanus is a roundworm. All of this stuff is treatable before you do anything. What we recommend in Discus, and it should be the same in all fish in my opinion, is you want to do a 6-week treatment plan. So when you first get the fish, the first 2 days maybe, you want to just let it sit there, maybe add a little salt to help it de-stress and get used to its new environment. Once that's done, you can do a treatment of Presequantal and Metronidazole. And the Metronidazole is for flagellates that might be in. And I will show you those. Let's see, let's do this one first. This is the Metronidazole powder. I bought 500 grams of it for treating fish. Like I said, it's used for flagellates and that sort of thing. It was an antibiotic, but it has lost effectiveness as far as an antibiotic. Most of the bacteria are now resistant to it, so it's no longer useful in that way. And the other is going to be these two. The top one is Presequantal powder, and it's used for treating flukes, tapeworms, some of the other external parasites. Levamisole is actually for roundworm. Okay, the Presequantal and the Metronidazole can be used together. The Levamisole cannot, but it is only a 24-hour treatment. So what we do is we start out, we do a 5-day treatment from the Presequantal, and the first 5 days is only going to be the Prezi and the Metro. After 5 days, you can stop using the Presequantal and continue the Metro for a full 10 days. And that can be done with high heat. That'll help a lot. The Levamisole doesn't need to be started right away. And this is why when you finish the Metro treatment, it takes a little bit for the fish to get it completely out of their system. So you want to wait about a week after the Metro. So you're doing the 10 days and then you want to wait a week. That gives the time for the medication to get out of the system. Then you want to do the Levamisole. Now, Levamisole is a 24-hour treatment. And after 24 hours, you have to clean everything up, wipe everything down really good, and put the fish back. And the Levamisole needs to be repeated 5 days after the initial treatment, the same way, and another one at 13 days after the initial treatment. And this gets any eggs that have hatched in that time frame. Hi, Roger. Welcome to the stream. I'm glad you made it in. I do realize, and this is something that I've talked to other people about, it is very hard to get medications in Canada. We're going to actually try to go into some of that at some point. Right now, I'm having difficulty figuring out how the logistics work on that as far as how Canada, what medications are available, if there are any available. And that's the hardest part is, are there any at all? Right now, I would say there's not any that you can get without a prescription from a veterinarian. The purpose of all of these treatments, and I'm the first one to tell you I don't like treating fish, but I find that this is absolutely necessary. The reason is if you have Camellanus, like in the video, he put that fish in with his other guppies. Here you've got all these worms. They're laying eggs in the water with his existing fish, and their existing fish are going to have it too. I mean, it's that simple. And then you've got a planted tank or a tank that's decorated like this one behind me. And instead of, having this real easy bare bottom tank to treat in, you're treating in, your planted tank or your decorated tank, and maybe it's full with plants. And that's a whole lot harder to do. I mean, you really, especially with the Camellanus and the capillary, which is another roundworm, you really have to wipe everything down. Their eggs are really sticky. They stick to every surface in your tank. You need to wipe it down, get as many of those eggs out of that tank as you can. And it's not always easy. So having it, done in quarantine, that when you put your fish in your existing tank, they do not have these parasites. You do not have to worry about your other fish getting sick from the parasites and that sort of thing. And we do know with discus that you still have a risk of the bacterial infection, but it is lessened after the quarantine period, which usually is about 6 weeks. By the time you finish all your treatments and everything and let them recover from the medicine, that's going to be about 6 weeks. A lot of people use a hero fish and discus. I don't even know if it's necessary in other fish. I've never really had a bacterial infection come up with, say, the mollies or the guppies. But with discus, it's really important to be careful. So we use a hero fish to make sure that there's not going to be any serious bacterial infections come up. And if there are, we can treat them and take care of it in the quarantine tank rather than in the main tank. Then that's real important. For the drawing, and this is something I wanted some ideas on. I have been racking my brain for 2 weeks trying to figure out how to do the drawing. Right now I'm showing 12 or 13 people are here, and the drawing is only going to be for people who are actually here. So if you guys have some ideas on how we can do that, shoot that into the chat. Does anybody actually have questions about, the quarantine procedure, about the medication usage? I think Colin, are you in Canada, Colin? I think you are, aren't you? And it's hard to get medicine up there. And I think Roger is in Canada. I can never keep track of it. I'm trying though. Okay, Kim, tell me what your idea is. I would love to hear it right now. Because I was thinking about just assigning everybody a number and doing a random number generator. So, but I figured I'd give you guys a chance to do some input. Because this is a really short talk today, because, yeah. I mean, it doesn't take long to explain a quarantine. Yeah, I thought so. I thought you were in Canada. Anyways, guys, the giveaway today, I'm going to go ahead and go into that while Kim's giving me her idea. I am going to be shipping out a small container of metronidazole, a small container of Presequantal, and a small container of levamisole for somebody's quarantine process. Okay, wheel of names. Let's see how that works. Okay, I'm going to look at this later on. This is going to be a little bit, because I'll have to type in the names, I think. Unless you want to type in the names and do the drawing, Kim. Yeah, Colin, I know it's hard in Canada. Hi, Joseph. Welcome to Discus Talk. What kind of fish do you have? The new guys. Say we got two of them, Ben Bryan and Joseph Heckle. I'm assuming Heckle has discus. Nigel. Young man. Once putting the new one in quarantine, how long does it take to show bacterial symptoms? They're not necessarily going to show bacterial symptoms. If you have a hero fish, it will usually be within a few days that somebody starts showing signs. Excuse me. Colin, that is very true. I was talking, if you go back in the video, the last video, I think it was the last stream I did with Dr. Pountney up in Canada. And he and I were discussing the lack of veterinarians that actually deal in fish. So many places, so many of the veterinarian schools don't even offer aquatic veterinarian classes, so they can't even get that. And the ones that do, it's so expensive, it's not even really worth going into. It's really hard, and I don't blame the veterinarians for that. Hey, Samuel, speaking of Dr. Pountney. Awesome. Samuel, I was just talking to Colin. Colin has trouble finding a vet in Canada so that they can get medications. And, you and I spoke about the medications being hard to come by in Canada. So that's kind of what we were talking about. Okay, South American cichlids and live bearers. That's awesome, Joseph. If you guys don't mind, I'll show you guys some of you missed it. I'll show you guys the video that I popped up. This is not just a discus chat, not today. Quarantine is far too important. And I'm going to show you this video because I found it just hit home so quick. And it's not even a discus, it's a guppy. But this is a good reason why quarantine is just so important. These are roundworms, normally infect the intestinal tract, that were actually coming out the gills of this poor guppy. And it just is so profound to see that. And so I wanted to share that in the quarantine talk. And I did get permission before doing it from the owner. They actually messaged me the video so that I would have it. Let's see. Brayden, welcome. Welcome to all the new people. It is Discus Talk, but we can always answer questions for other species. Carrie Strong, who's not with me today, but is so off and on with me. He has raised guppies, orandas, a lot of other species. I have done the mollies, guppies, the discus, the plecos, quite a few others. My husband is also here with me, and he's done most of the African cichlids. I haven't really done the African cichlids as much. I do know a lot about them, but not really enough of the specific species. 20 tetras, 4 cories, 2 plecos. When you get those discus from ponds, make sure you do the quarantine. It is very, very important to do that quarantine. Absolutely. Even the tetras, the cories, and the plecos can actually make your discus sick, and you'll probably need to pull a couple of them out, put them in with the discus at about the 6-week mark, or about the 4-week mark, and let them sit in there for 2 weeks and make sure that your discus are not going to have a reaction. And best case scenario, you don't have any issues, but make sure that you have Riddick Plus and salt on hand. If there is a reaction with the bacterial infection, you'll want to start treatment with about 5 tablespoons of salt per 10 gallons, and the Riddick Plus seems to do really, really well. But do that in the quarantine tank. Don't take them out of quarantine until you've had fish in with them to make sure that you're not going to have issues. It's much, much easier to treat in the quarantine tank than it is to treat in the main tank. And 2 places in Alberta, Canada. Okay. There's Francis can help with that too. I know Francis has shown me some links to some places where you can get medicine up there. And that's always good. Let's see, Brayden, what type of fish do you have, Brayden? Curious here. Let's see, who else? I thought I saw another new name in here. Metro and Pricey, but they still are dark. Add salt to the tank. You need to add a lot of salt to the tank. Don't be afraid of the salt. About 5 tablespoons per 10 gallon. And if you've done the nitrofurantoin, I wouldn't treat, and the metroprazole, I wouldn't treat anything else right now. I would just let them sit with the salt. Give them about 2 weeks in pure salt. If they're not better, start a Riddick Plus on them. It's got formalin in it, and that will hit a lot of the bacteria, knock the bacteria back down. Trying to figure out why my discus are staying in the corner of the tank. Don't tiptoe around your fish. Let them get comfortable, and they need to get comfortable with your movements, not you getting comfortable with theirs. Unless they're sick, they will start coming out at some point. Most definitely. I don't really have any. I have had some that hide. I had a tank get spooked a few months ago, and for about 3 weeks, if I walked in, they went to the other side of the tank. They wouldn't come out, and they eventually got over it. We just kept going by them, kept passing them, kept feeding them, just doing the normal stuff, and they get over it. When do you stop my quarantine? I stop my quarantine after 6 weeks. If I have existing fish, I put an existing fish in at 4 weeks of quarantine and let them sit for the last 2 weeks to answer that question. 10 4-inch discus and a 29, it's going to be awfully tight. You're going to need to do a lot of water changes. I would think daily on that. But since it is a quarantine, that shouldn't be an issue. That is going to be tight. All right, guys. You guys about ready for the drawing? Did everybody hear what I'm giving away today? I'm going to give away the Metro, the Presequantal, and the Levamazole. So you'll have a small amount of each one. It's enough at least for one quarantine. Yeah, Braden, they'll have to get used to that. We have a tank full of stinkers that we kept in the fish room. We brought them into the house, and they weren't used to the TV and the dogs and, people moving around so much. And it took them about a month or maybe longer than that to finally settle in and start coming out. And even then they would every once in a while still get spooked. It takes a while, but they do eventually get used to you for sure. Let's see, we've got 14 people. So let's see. Oh, they're not showing up in the list. All right, everybody that wants to be in the drawing, type in the number 1 in the chat so I can get you guys in. If you would, please. Okay. No problem, Joseph. Which group are you in? Young man. All right, Kim, are you writing down the names? Young man, are you wanting to be in the drawing or no? Let's see, how big is this one? Yeah, I think this is the size of the Presequantal. I don't know if you can see it. I think you can. I don't know the size of everything. Okay. All right. Kim, if you could, when he posts in there, just tag me in his post so I'll get it. Okay. Just wanted to make sure. I see a couple of more than one new name. I'm glad you guys could join us today. I hope you got to see the whole thing because this was a really important talk, and I think people will learn a little bit at least. I know I talked to the guy about the Camellanus for probably about 15 or 20 minutes, and he didn't know that you should treat your fish for that beforehand. So everybody learned something, right? And we all learn something. I've learned something. I learn something new every day. I learn a lot of stuff. All right. You got it, Kim? She says, hang on. Oh, guys, if you haven't done that survey from Dr. Pountney, please go do that. We need everybody to do it, not just the breeders, but everybody to do that. Because it's really important that we start getting research done on the ornamental fish and not just the food fish. Right now, they do mostly on your salmons and your tilapias and that sort of thing. If you don't have the link for it, I can get you the link for it, but we need everybody to be involved, everybody in the hobby to be involved. There's not enough stuff for me to go and research on, and there's a lot of research that still needs to be done. I learn a lot from, the research that's been done for food fish, but a lot of that is incomplete simply because it's food fish rather than ornamental. Ours sit in aquariums. They sit in a little box. Those fish have a lot of water. And that they can swim around in and get away from stuff in. So, and different bacterias. We have some different bacteria in the waters, I think, in the tanks than they don't have. In the wild, they have, bacteria that we don't see as much in domestic fish. Mycobacterium being a big one. Most wild fish have mycobacterium, carry it. And a lot of the domestic bred don't have the mycobacterium. So that was something I found out recently, actually, because I thought mycobacterium was in most fish, but it's not. The survey that I'm talking about, I will post it in Great Black Swamp. It's not something that they call you for. It's just a little survey, and you just answer it. I'm not sure how you would answer the ones for breeding, but just go ahead and answer what you can from the survey and get it turned into to them so they can see the numbers at least. Definitely put in how much you spend on your fish somewhere on there. So I will definitely look at that. I don't know if Kim has that survey link or not. She may be able to post it. Okay, is everybody that wants to be in the drawing put their number one in? If you haven't put your number one in for the drawing, please do so. So we can get the names down. Poor Kim, I'm working her to death. Okay, she's going to record on the phone, and definitely let us know in the chat who the winner is. And we'll post the recording on so I'll figure out how to do the recording. Definitely. Oh. Okay, Joseph, we appreciate your support, most definitely. And anybody who hasn't done it and still hasn't seen the survey, let me know, and we'll get it posted again in the groups. I know it's in the guppy groups. I've seen it in a couple of other groups, and most of the discus groups have seen it at this point. Now, Joseph, I'm glad you're feeling better. Hope you continue to recover. Any more questions about quarantine procedures while we're still waiting for Kim? No rush, Kim. I'm just going to get some questions, field some questions. The shipping is going to be free on the medication, so there's not going to be any concerns there. I'll be shipping it to whoever wins. It'll be shipped to your door. Now, Canada, I can't guarantee that it'll make it, but we're going to try it. That's part of the reason I didn't say in any of the posts what the actual prize was. Congratulations, Braden. Braden Lewis has won the medication drawing or giveaway. Congratulations to you. You can get with me on Facebook and I can get your details and we can get that mailed out to you. Congratulations. Thank you, Kim, for doing that. That helped out a whole lot. Right in. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I think that's going to be it for the live stream for today, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I don't know what the next one's going to be, and definitely like and subscribe. My goodness, I need more subscribers for sure. We don't know what the next live stream is going to be, but it's probably going to be something really interesting you'll want to tune in for. So I guess we will see you guys next time. Y'all have a great day. Bye now.